share me more about my YouTube channel. Brain Next TV GH. Brain Next TV GH there. This is a shine like a star. Unyaba if you are safwa cantimpuni. Mama Africa Jimmy na when you saw our channel. Na message say Jimmy we subscribe, like it, share, na pass a comment. Na ene omampenia be Alhaji Bawumia. Or the nanu disem atuga na or in the state of our economy now. Ane nipa ni bebre susu se si ade economy no enkoye kra esan se omo nim the economy no ehu wonanim a edi American 10 sa no mumientie ensem ahodo a omampani abedi eche no eka ebi.
Today I want to address the state of the economy. The issues about national economies and how well individual countries are handling their respective economic situations appear to be the most important thing on people's minds in recent times. From the man on the street to the business mogul, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the shelter we seek or have, the benevolence we extend to friends and family, the health of the economy is the foundational instrument. To bring this home, essentially, the economy is what we feel in our pockets. I acknowledge that we are going through challenging times. This is the reality, irrespective of the cause. Not long ago, we had felt similar despair, the fear of losing our lives to a pandemic, and the near halt to our economy as we battle to survive each day. Some years ago, we had been confronted by very dire circumstances. The joblessness of our youth, the years of doomsday that adversely impacted on businesses and jobs, the disappointment of dealing with a collapsed national health insurance system and the inability to access health care, the bane of the cash and carry system, a nearly collapsed national ambulance system, a freeze on public sector employment, and an almost collapsed banking sector, and so on. The economy was on the verge of collapse, and a legacy of take-or-pay contracts saddled the economy with annual excess capacity charges of close to $1 billion a year. These were basically contracts to supply energy to Ghana way in excess of our requirements, but we were obligated to pay for the power whether we use it or not. We were confronted with a banking crisis, and not dealing decisively with it would have meant disaster for the economy, as the entire banking system collapsed. In addition to not keeping up with the excess capacity payments for energy would have meant throwing the country back into the new bout of doomsday. The government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo put in a lot of effort to turn things around from the situation that used to be when we came into office in 2017. We had only one mission: stop the decline and make things better. Together, as a country, we proceeded to fix the economy. We made great gains, and the records attest to this. Prior to the coronavirus pandemic, which has impacted virtually all economies in the world, we stabilized the economy. We reduced inflation, we doubled economic growth in the first 3 years, we reduced the rate of depreciation of the cedi, the average depreciation from 2017 to 2020 was the lowest since 1992. We reduced the fiscal deficit, we improved the external payments position, reduced interest rates in line with declining inflation expectations, and we cleaned up the mess in the financial sector that we inherited. We took the decisive action to avoid the collapse of the financial sector and to save the deposits of 4.6 million people. Thousands of businesses would have collapsed if we had not saved the banking sector. We implemented our flagship programs such as Free SHS, Planting for Food and Jobs, One District, One Factory, NAPCO, IPEP, the Zongo Development Fund, restoration of teacher and nursing training allowances, and we embarked on the digitalization of the economy. The relatively strong performance of the economy, among other things, led to Ghana being the destination of choice for foreign direct investment in West Africa, according to the 2019 World Investment Report by UNCTAD. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic changed the economic circumstances of virtually every country in the world. Today, our economy is witnessing rising prices of fuel and virtually all commodities like bread, rice, sugar, sachet water, cement, iron rods, and so on. From Malate Market through Abofo Market to Techiman Market to Takoradi Market Circle to Pando and almost everywhere across the country, prices are on the rise. In the first quarter of this year, we have also suffered a sovereign credit ratings downgrade by 2 ratings agencies. And along with that, there has been a significant depreciation of the cedi between February and March this year. These developments, ladies and gentlemen, have come as a surprise to many Ghanaians. And in the ensuing discussions, many questions have been asked about the state of the economy. These questions include: what has happened to the fundamentals? Why are the prices of goods and services increasing so fast? Why has the cedi depreciated so fast this year? Why has the fiscal deficit and the debt stock increased so much? What projects and programs does government have to show for the higher debt? Are the government flagship programs like Free SHS the cause of our current economic challenges? How about the promise to move the economy from a focus on taxation to a focus on production? Where is the new economy that government promised to build? How has the government tackled corruption? What has the government done to relieve suffering of Ghanaians? And how is the government solving the current economic challenges? Today, I will address these questions based on data and facts. I will admit where there are challenges, but hopefully we will all leave here with a better understanding of the state of the economy, where we have come from, where we are, and where we are going. So, let's take the first question. What has happened to the fundamentals? Let's examine the economic fundamentals. Are weak fundamentals the reason for our current economic challenges? What is the data saying about variables like inflation, interest rates, external sector performance, the fiscal balance, the debt stock, GDP growth, and the exchange rate? Our assessment of the fundamentals will be based on the evolution of these variables over time. Mr. Chairman, countries and economies, I'm looking at inflation now. Countries and economies throughout the world are experiencing severe challenges following the COVID-19 pandemic and the more recent Russia-Ukraine war. The pandemic, which started early in 2020, resulted in the greatest economic depression since the 1930s, with most countries recording negative growth. Supply chain disruptions and the rising price of oil has resulted in the prices of fuel going up across the globe, with petrol prices doubling in most countries. In fact, in the world today, the highest petroleum prices can be found in countries like Hong Kong, the Netherlands, Zimbabwe, Germany, Israel, and the United Kingdom. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, the global average cost of shipping a container has increased from $1,446 in 2019. The global average cost for shipping a container has gone up from $1,446 in December 2019 to $9,789 as at February 2022. This is an increase of 576% to ship a container globally. This has dramatically increased the cost of shipping goods and therefore their prices on the market. Food prices have also not been left out. The Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO Global Food Index, Price Index, increased from 95.1 at the end of 2019 to 140 in February 2022, an increase of 48%. The increase in commodity prices has been exacerbated by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia and Ukraine together account for 30% of the global wheat exports. The longer the conflict ensues, the greater will be the disruption to global food supplies. The conflict is also likely to slow global growth. According to the African Development Bank, the price of wheat has shot up by 62% since the war began, and the price of fertilizer is up by 300%, and the price of maize is up by 36% since the war began. Here in Ghana, 60% of our total imports of iron ore and steel are from Ukraine. Russia accounts for some 30% of Ghana's imported grains, 50% of flour, and 39% of fertilizer. So, we are directly affected by the Russia-Ukraine war. Unfortunately, we do not know when it will be over. The global increase in fuel prices is causing hardships in even the most advanced economies like the United States of America. Global inflation is on the rise, as I said, in many advanced economies like the UK and the USA, who are experiencing their highest inflation in 30 and 40 years respectively.